So I think at the end of the day, it's really just deciding the life that you want to live and putting the things in place to support it.
Yeah, and I think, my view, legislation and government should be there as guardrails, not as prescriptions.
This is Married to the Startup, where marital bliss meets entrepreneurial mayhem. George and Alicia have spent over a decade juggling 5 kids, multiple startups, and a surprising amount of free time. On each episode, they'll dish on the triumphs and meltdowns that come with mixing family and startups, from the boardroom to the bedroom. No topic is off limits. Real and raw. Real and raw. And now your hosts, George, the CEO who traded the corporate grind for sleepless nights and investor tantrums, and Alicia, who swapped a peaceful life for the roller coaster of coaching entitled founders. This is Married to the Startup, where love meets chaos and entrepreneurship reigns supreme.
Welcome to episode 4 of Married to the Startup. I am your host, Alicia McKenzie.
And I am her co-host and life partner and better half, George McKenzie.
Better half? Is that what we're going with today?
Today, I feel like the better half.
I mean,
I changed shirts. I have a brown shirt.
Considering where I am, like in my cycle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the better half.
I'm kind of bitchy right now, but it comes with the territory. All right, so today we are going to chat a little bit about health and wellness because that's kind of my bread and butter. I was a USAW athlete, gym owner, CrossFit athlete, all the competing, did all the things, and now it's just a part of my lifestyle. I feel like I'm missing something when I'm not focusing on some portion of my health and wellness.
You know, being a former high school athlete and collegiate athlete, as well as avid CrossFitter, really just to spend more time with my wife. And then now I'm into health and wellness to increase my longevity. So I'm around for my 5 kids that drive me crazy, and making sure that, you know, as I am approaching my 60s, when my kids are later into their teenage and early 20s years, I want to be
You're not that far
active.
from your 60s.
I am not even close to
You're
my 60s.
closer to your 60s than you are your 20s.
Oh, that's right. That's the same for almost everybody.
No, but I think that is definitely a way that we spend time together working out.
Yeah, probably less working out together nowadays and more just doing general wellness stuff together.
Yeah, when we were starting your first company, right, we also had the gym.
Correct.
So it was easier to work out because we owned a gym and we kind of lived and breathed, and we only had 2 kids.
Yeah.
So.
And I think we were competitive and still in our competing phase of CrossFit and I guess competing phase of life. So worked out a ton, and, you know, it was the lifestyle. So you work 12 hours a day and then work out 3 hours a day and then hang out with the kids and do whatever you do as a family or as a couple.
Yeah. And Michaela, she was only, I want to say when we owned the gym, she was from the ages of 0 until she was 4.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And
yeah. So CrossFit on the weekends and doing competitions and just being in the gym 3 or 4 hours a day wasn't that difficult.
Yeah. She didn't have any activities. Ava wasn't really into, I think she did
no sports at that point.
Yeah. No, she was still too young.
Yeah, exactly.
There weren't any sports for girls prior to like middle school back in those years. I think now sports are becoming more of a thing for girls outside of like just gymnastics, right? I think back then gymnastics was the only thing that they offered.
Or dance,
right? Yeah,
I think Ava did dance.
Yeah, she did. She did dance. So it wasn't anything too crazy. Like now you've got soccer, you've got lacrosse, you've got all these actual sports. And I'm not to say that dance isn't a sport. I was a dancer for years, ballet, point, jazz, all that stuff. I did it until I quit in high school during my rebellious phase. Decided I wasn't doing this shit anymore.
So when is the rebellious phase going to be over?
It's never going to be over,
okay.
Ever. It's never going to be over. What you see is what you get.
Got it.
But back then it was easier. And now I think as we've gotten older, you're in your mid 40s.
Yeah, that's generous.
I'm in my mid 30s.
Being generous on both ends of the scale, I guess.
No, I'm getting ready to step into my late 30s.
Yes, I am in my late 40s.
Oh, dang.
So, yeah, working out has taken on a whole different dimension. You know, no longer are you throwing around heavy weights or trying to PR anything. Now it's just, hypertrophy training or doing things that are, high rep, lower weight and really working on burning out the muscles and trying to fight off Father Time. That's my goal.
Yeah, I think now we're more into biohacking.
But you are. I'm more into doing what you tell me.
Exactly. I'm kind of I'm the experimenter.
I'm the experimentee.
I will jump on any bandwagon that comes out just because I'm curious to see what it does. So we're really big into wearable devices like Oura rings and Apple Watches, just to kind of see what our bodies are doing. I'm just really curious when it comes to anything new that comes out. So like right now we're big into saunas, we're big into cold plunging, cold therapy, red light therapy. I just ordered ketone shots, which I'm really, really excited to try those.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you try. No, I'll try them too. And it's sauna.
It's
I told you I'm finished.
You're not.
I'm about to be finished.
Yeah.
No, it's the wrong one. The one time I wanted to use a sound effect with my finish joke.
So I just discovered that our podcast setup does noisemakers, like little.
Yeah. So I'm about to be finished. That's not it.
No.
It's the bum.
Hold on. I'm gonna find it.
They're color coded.
I don't know what each color.
Try the blue. I'm about to be finished.
Oh, that was perfect.
That was not right.
That was kind of perfect.
That's not right.
Or back to our wellness habits. Now that you're on sabbatical,
Yes.
we wake up, we make breakfast,
Yep. Take the kids to school.
And today was kind of a shit show. Today's a Friday, and it was there was like emotions bubbling up all over the place.
Yeah, from the weirdest ones. Like normally it's the oldest son who is the one that has the big emotions in the morning. And, especially when it comes to wardrobe or dietary.
You think? I feel like he's the most chill.
Today he was super chill. No, he gets upset about his outfits. Yesterday he was, when we got home from school, he was incredibly emotional about not being able to watch TV in the garage.
Oh.
Yeah, because I pulled the car into the garage to charge it.
Oh.
And he was not happy about it.
Okay. Yeah, but.
To the point where Michaela said, I'm the one that's hormonal. What are you doing?
Oh. Yeah, but I would say he's the middle child. And
There's no middle in 5. Actually, there is.
Oh my God.
There is a perfect. We used to have 4 and he was not the middle. I guess now he is.
Now he's like the quintessential.
But he became the middle. You weren't always the middle.
He wasn't always the middle. He just in the last couple of years. But he was still, he's always, I think he's been our chill kind of just go with the flow kid, almost to his detriment.
Yeah, he is definitely the peacemaker.
But the two today, it was the 2 babies, the baby boy and the baby girl. They were just, I think the littlest one woke up a couple hours early, which did not help because then everything was just difficult. She didn't want to wear this. She didn't want to do this. She didn't want to eat that. The baby boy, he did not have the outfit that he wanted. He's been really big into wearing long johns under shorts, and all of his long johns were dirty. And it was just a bad morning for him.
I think this is like the repeat of the costume phase of life. Like he wants to dress like a Pokemon trainer or a professional basketball player. I don't know. It's a mix.
But as long as it looks appropriate and it's not like 50 different colors, like I'm willing to concede outfit choices for social emotional development.
Yeah. Maybe we should just let him wear shorts and be cold.
No, because then I don't want him to be miserable and it's still chilly outside.
Yeah.
But we got all of the kids off to school today, and I've finally come to a point where I've decided that I'm only going to cold plunge 3 days a week because it just got to be too much. And I'm very much like a person with a new puppy. Like I love it so much and I want to hug it and I want to squish it. And then.
Yeah. And then she, guilts you because you only saw it and cold plunge 3 times a week, where she's trying to plunge 6 times a week in the snow.
That was actually really cool, though. It was. The snow was amazing before our cold plunge came in. And before I go any further, all of these extras are just that. They're extra, right? Like I'm not expecting you to go out and start cold plunging. I'm not expecting you to go out and buy a sauna. Like if you're doing the basics of sleeping well and eating well and making sure you're not sedentary, then that is perfect. I never want anybody to feel like they're not doing enough.
Right.
And I think that's a bad trap that we fall into in the space of health and wellness. As somebody who coaches others for a living, or who used to, I don't want to be the example of what you have to be doing in order to reach optimal health. These are just extras. These are fun to have. These are great things to try. But if you're struggling to like, okay, I need to work 8 hours and then I need to do all this and then I need to take care of my kids, like this is just extra.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the sauna and cold plunge stuff, the good news is it takes about 20 minutes in aggregate and you don't need to do it every day. But as a data freak, I love, wearing the Oura ring and looking at how things that we, the variables that we add in and affect the data that comes out. So am I sleeping better because on days that I cold plunge in sauna? Yes. And how does alcohol affect my sleep? And then, being the tinkerer that I am, we figure out the exact amount of consumption of alcohol that does not impact my sleep negatively. And I try to stay within those bounds when I do drink.
Which is really interesting because I know alcohol is it's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Alcohol is definitely a touchy subject in the sense that, it's terrible for you. You shouldn't be drinking any of it. But I like to choose my toxins.
Yeah.
So
there's plenty of things in life that are, bad for you and we still do them.
Like?
Well, drinking's one. I think there's, stress and stuff that we eat on a daily basis. Driving cars extremely fast and terribly, weaving in and out of traffic is bad for you.
Yeah.
But some people still do it.
But it's interesting to be able to take the things that we are trying and pinpoint it on the Oura ring.
Yeah.
Or on your Whoop band or your Fitbit. Like let's say cold plunging. When I first started, and cold plunging is a stressor, right? It's meant to mimic stress. So if you think you're going to cold plunge and it's not going to be stressful on your body, that's completely wrong. Don't think you're going to go into a cold plunge and just relax. Like your body is put into a stressful situation. And the whole purpose of it is to stress you out. It's going to increase blood flow as soon as you get out of it. But when you're in there, it's definitely like a fight or flight. Like imagine going and falling into a frozen lake. Your body hits that flight or fight.
Yeah, the first 30 seconds are, the 10 seconds are unbearable. The first 30 seconds are, oh my God, why am I doing this? And then you're bargaining with yourself for the next minute to minute and a half of, I'm just going to get out after 3 minutes, or maybe 2.5 is good enough. And then you get to the middle, what I call the euphoric period of 2 minutes, or 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. It's perfect. You feel great. You're doing your 4x2 breathing. Everything's amazing. And then it's that last 30 seconds of, can I stay in any longer? Hurry up. Why is this clock going so slow? I just want to get out. And then, you're out and shivering. And then it's that, I think the next 2 hours, once you've warmed up, you feel incredible.
See, I kind of cheat. I do sauna for 20 minutes and then I go in the cold plunge for 4 minutes and then I go hop on our treadmill and I will do either a Peloton hike or I'll do a Peloton jog and I'll work out because I think it's probably not good for me to go right from a cold plunge and can barely feel my body to trying to move it. But I think it's a good way to naturally increase my body temperature. And it's just what works for me.
Yeah. On the days that I work out strength training with weights, I don't cold plunge. So on those days, I just sauna, which after a workout, getting in the sauna for 20 minutes and just sweating, it feels great.
Yeah. And I think you avoid cold plunging on strength training days because it's a negative impact on hypertrophy.
Correct.
Which hypertrophy is increasing the size of your muscle. So cold plunging right after lifting really, really heavy it's negatively impacting. You're basically undoing the work you just did. Okay. So I was listening to another podcast and the creator of Ketone IQ was on there and he started talking about these new clean, natural energy shots. And this is not an ad. This is just something that I actually want to try. They're caffeine free. They're sugar free. They're no salt added. And the idea behind the shot is that it's supposed to put you into ketosis. And if you don't know what ketosis is, it is the effect of the keto diet. So the keto diet is a diet where you are very, very low on carbs, so carbohydrates. You're not eating any fruit. You're not eating any grains. You're basically doing proteins, fats, and your body starts producing what's called ketones. So these Keto IQ shots naturally put you into ketosis just by taking a shot. So you don't actually have to be on the keto diet. So your body will mimic being in ketosis, which means you've got better energy, you've got more mental clarity, it helps you control your appetite. And there's just a bunch of claims that these shots have made. And I'm really curious to try them out just because, hey, it's new on the market. Let's see what it does. And the creation of Keto IQ was funded by DoD.
Right. Nice. I'm excited to take the shot too. All those benefits I would love to have without the drawbacks of being on a keto diet. Like I cannot have French fries and potato chips on a keto diet. So it doesn't work for me.
No.
Even though this latest, 80% vegan diet has been pretty good.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think let's talk about that a little bit. We watched a Netflix documentary called You Are What You Eat. And in this documentary, it takes you on a twin experiment. So I think it was 15 sets of twins.
Yes, I think the basis of it, they took the twins and they put them through the same workout program. So they were able to control that variable of, hey, everyone's going to do the exact same workout. And then they took blood work, stool samples, body scan, DEXA scans of their bodies pre and post. And then the only difference between the two was the diet. One was on a healthy carnivorous diet. One was on a healthy vegan diet. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, I think, or 12 weeks.
I think it was 8 weeks.
8 weeks. Then they redid the blood and the stool samples and the DEXA scan, but they did, monitored them the whole way. So with humans, it's really difficult to control all the variables. So this is, one in which you can compare two people that are
metabolically and genetically almost the exact same.
Yeah. And then say, okay, only difference, the variable being what they ate, is there a difference? I wished it would have gone on longer because I didn't think there was enough real data around it. Being 8 weeks, it was pretty short. So I don't know if the conclusions were perfect. I would have loved it to be longer, but I can understand how it might be hard to get that many twins to do that for, 6 months, or at least 3 months, maybe a quarter, which would have been, in my opinion, a more data significant study. But I thought it was entertaining to watch. I mean, the whole focus was really around meat and how bad it is for you and how...
Or not even how bad meat is. I don't think mass produced meat is starting to come at a cost, an environmental cost, a health cost.
The base of it was a 4-episode commercial for Impossible Foods. I hope they get paid for the study or something.
So within this documentary,
CAFOs?
They take you behind the scenes of CAFOs,
which are concentrated animal feeding operations.
Okay, so this means that in order to be considered a CAFO, you have to have 1,000 animals or more within that processing plant. And usually CAFOs are chickens or pork. And before we go any further, we stopped eating pork. And I say me and a few of my children. One of my kids, he absolutely loves pigs. And when he figured out that pork was made from pigs, he refused to eat it, which I love that. And also, he has a reason. So, and then another one of my children, she does not eat pork either. She stopped eating bacon. She doesn't eat ham, I guess just in solidarity. And also I think pigs are disgusting. I stopped eating pork probably a year ago. And now after watching this documentary, it shows you how pork is processed and how they're kept and how they're held. And they're gross. If you've ever watched Snatch, never trust a pig farmer.
Yes, never trust a pig farmer. Yeah, after watching that documentary, I think that, introducing more, vegan stuff into our diet is beneficial, but I don't believe that, I'll ever get out of eating meat, altogether. I think that there's a healthy balance there.
We have definitely become more intentional about where our meat comes from. And if we're not certain that it's environmentally friendly, we just won't eat it. We'll steer more towards vegan or vegetarian options.
Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat, they've both made so many strides since the first time I tried it. I think 5 years ago or so, we tried it. And they were okay. Like the burgers were, you could tell it wasn't meat.
But a lot of the products and the additives in it just they didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
And they've definitely gotten cleaner over time. I think they're more mushroom and fungi based.
Yeah. I think that the stuff that we've done recently with Impossible Meat and Beyond Meat has been really good. And I'm telling you, those chicken tenders, the chicken nuggets and the spicy nuggets, they are incredibly good.
And let's be honest, we have 5 kids. If we can make lunches on the weekends a little bit easier by using chicken nuggets, we're going to do it. And my kids absolutely destroyed a bag of those spicy Impossible nuggets. So I would say that our current diet is definitely, we're still carnivorous, but we do a lot more vegetarian and vegan meals. And I mean, you're lactose intolerant. So if I can avoid cooking with dairy,
it's better for everyone.
It's better for everyone. All right, moving on. So we're going to dive into work-life balance, which if you don't know, I wrote a book called Balance is Bullshit. So I really don't think that work-life balance is a thing. But California developed a bill that would allow workers to ignore their bosses during off hours.
I feel like workers ignore their bosses all the time anyway, so.
Me too. Why is this something that needs to be legislated?
Yeah, I mean, I could opine on this for hours, but I read through the article that you sent over, and I just feel like we're at a tipping point in society, and everything we're changing or trying to change everything super fast. And I think AI is going to change a lot of stuff in the workplace anyway, which may make this topic moot. But people are, the later generations are wanting to take advantage of being, a salaried employee, but also want to be paid like an hourly employee. Like, oh, I've worked more than 40 hours this week, I should get paid more. But, I work less than 40. It doesn't matter. I'm salaried. You should pay me. And then, hey, I'm at home. That's my home time. Don't call me at home, even though I work from home all the time. And, in the middle of the day, I ran to the grocery store. I went to the doctor's. I went and got Starbucks, and I did all these other things, but don't talk to me after 5:30 because, that's my personal time.
Well, and I was still on email, so.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole article. They're saying that, hey, I can't unplug. I can't get away from email because my boss expects me to respond to an email if they send me an email at 7 p.m. at night. And that's my personal time. So I shouldn't be obligated to respond because, I'll be looked at as a not a go-getter or not a team player because other people will respond. And I think we're trying to legislate good behavior or legislate.
We're trying to legislate boundaries.
Yeah. Or things I think at a certain point, accountability and responsibility for one, being a good boss and not expecting people to work extra hours, but also taking accountability and responsibility for yourself as an employee. Like, we're record low unemployment levels in the country. You don't have to stay in the job if that job.
Or expecting things that you're not willing to.
Exactly. If you only want to work 40 hours a week and you want personal time, then go find a job that facilitates that. And if all the workforce out there wanted to do the same thing, then all employers would meet the employee there.
I think we're on a slippery slope, though, because you want to work from home and you want the ability to have this flexible schedule where, okay, I'm going to work from 8 to 11, and then I'm going to take 11 to 3, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then from 3 to some mystery hour, I'm going to work a little bit more, and then you can't talk to me, right? But you can't expect as an employee to have the amount of flexibility that you have and then just ghost your boss at 7 o'clock at night when you should still be working because you really didn't work a full 8 hours during the day.
Let's be honest. No one works a full 8 hours anymore. I think the 8-hour workday
doesn't exist.
My entire career has been bullshit. Like, people go into the office, they're there for 8 hours. They probably do 2 to 3 hours of real productive work, and the rest is water cooler talk or going to lunch for 2 hours or chit chatting or playing fantasy football online or Googling whatever. I think that that's been always the case. And then when you're working from home, the productivity has probably gone up some. So that 2.5 hours is probably stretched to 4, but there's tons of time that is personal time. So I don't know what the balance is. I think employers know that, hey, you're working from home. There's flexibility there, and, calling meetings and then wanting to, have you on meetings. I think the whole Zoom, I don't know when it became a necessity that I have to see someone's face in every call.
Yeah. Whatever happened to a phone call?
Can't do that anymore. It has to be a Zoom call. I have to see you.
Right.
I have to see you looking away and doing other work.
Yeah.
While I'm talking to you.
Yeah. A lot of these Zoom calls could actually just be regular phone calls that last like 10 minutes.
Emails, but no one emails anymore. They're all Slack me. Let's Slack and have a conversation in Slack versus I could just talk to you and have the whole thing done in 5 seconds.
Which, if you were really honest with yourself, you were so bad at Slack. Like, you were always slacking.
I know. That's the problem. And I think that the bill, maybe if you tried to get on board with it or think about why it would be beneficial, is some of these communication products, Slack, and they're very addictive. It's just like TikTok or Instagram or anything. As soon as something new pops up, you want that dopamine hit of, what is it? Oh, I want to see what it is. Let me hit refresh. And you find yourself doing that with email or Slack. You're just constantly swiping down to see if there's a new email popping in. And then you get that instant gratification of, oh, let me read it. And, I don't think that's good for us. and we probably need to get away from it. And I had a problem with it, but I don't know what the ultimate solution is.
The ultimate solution is creating a boundary for yourself. And I think being secure enough in your choice to stick to that boundary. I put out a post a couple years ago where I said, I don't answer email on the weekend. I might read your email and I might draft a response, but I do not send emails until 8 a.m. Monday morning. And that is because, yes, I own my own business. And yes, there's still things that I have to do, but my choices, I don't want to affect somebody else. So if I send a response and it either triggers someone or it requires a response, I don't want you to stop what you're doing on the weekend to respond to me. So I just kind of take that out of the equation. I do not respond to emails. And that post, it got a lot of traction. People were like, oh, wow, this is a really good boundary. Like,
yeah, scheduling email is a great feature that is often underutilized.
Yeah, I think so. Like send your emails. It's not a hard thing, but the results of it, it's a trickle down effect. If I'm not sending emails, you're not responding to emails, and then it's cyclical.
Yeah, I think that this bill, in my opinion, just is the broader, we're trying to legislate behavior that we want, or legislate a way for us to control our own behaviors and actions.
But here's the thing. If you're miserable at your job, use your big boy voice and say what you don't like about it and what you want to change. And if that doesn't change, go find a new one.
Exactly. But I love my job so much, and it should cater to me versus me cater to it.
That's not the way of the world.
I know.
Ladies and gents.
Yes.
That's not it. So work-life balance, I honestly, and I think it differs depending on where you are in your career. If you're an employee, if you're a 1099, if you're a CEO.
In my opinion, it's life. You have life. And in that life, it's broken into the part of your life that is working, the part of your life that's being a husband, the part of your life that's being a father, the part of your life that's being you. Yeah, it's all just life. And you just have to figure out there's only so much air in the balloon. And, if you squeeze one end too hard, the air goes the other end. So if your work needs more of your time, then it takes more of the air in the balloon, and there's less air available for the other stuff. And that's just the way it goes. And then sometimes, you have a baby or there's an important event going on in your life. There's less air for the work and there's more air for the personal life. So in my opinion, that's how it all goes. And you have to find a way in which you can live the life you want to live. And if your employer or demands too much air out of that balloon for work, then you have to find, an outlet or a work environment in which supports the life that you want to live.
It's an interesting evolution too, because I feel like we've seen a lot of people that have gone from, okay, I'm miserable working for somebody, I'm going to go start my own company. And then 1 to 2 years down the line, they're like, God, I'm miserable running my own company. I want to go work for somebody.
Yeah.
We've definitely seen that evolution happen over the last 3 to 5 years, especially just within our inner circles. It's working for somebody sometimes does have its benefits.
Yeah. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to say, I'm not going to answer emails at night. There's certain emails you're going to have to look at and read or respond to, but, you have to prioritize which ones, need that response. But,
literally in the middle of the night, like you'll get an email and you'll stop what you're doing. You'll get up off the couch and you'll walk into the office.
Yeah. Or you get a phone call from an employee, or you get something that you have to deal with at that point in time. And as a worker, sometimes you don't feel that urgent as this bill proposes, that you wouldn't even have to do it. You wouldn't even check it. You'd be like, oh, I'm not doing it. And I think that times change. Everything changes. And I remember earlier in my work career, we had pagers, or you didn't even have a pager. So when you left,
oh my God,
when you left the office,
you had a pager?
Yeah. When you left the office, you literally left the office. There was nothing to do, right? Maybe someone would call you or page you or something, but you actually unplugged. You were gone. And I think people want that back. And maybe this is what the bill proposes, that, hey, when I leave the office, I'm done. Right? You have to call me to get me. But I think,
do you think it's as simple as taking your work email off your phone when you leave the office? Right? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those cookie jar locks, where you put a lock on the cookies so you can't eat them until the time expires.
Yeah, exactly. But at a certain point, the cookies will be unlocked, and then you just gorge yourself. So I think that it comes down to personal choice and personal accountability. Like if you don't want to answer emails after hours, don't, right? If you don't want to answer your boss after 7 p.m., then don't. And if it has a negative impact on your career and the employer that you're with, then you need to find a job in which it facilitates that kind of life. Or be realistic. If you want to be a senior manager, a VP, a managing director, or CEO, or run your own business, you're going to have to work longer hours. It's the way it is. And it's back to the air in the balloon. If that's what you want in your life, then you have to devote more air to it, which means the air has to come from something else. You can't say, I want that, but then I also want to do all these other things.
Yeah, which
you have to make a choice and live with it.
It reminds me of, and I won't say names, but there is somebody that we used to know, or we know, that he worked for 6 months of the year and he grinded like super hard, made all the money that he could. And then he took the next 6 months off, and he did that every year for probably 3-5 years.
Yeah. He was a independent consultant, and he would work for 6 months to a year. And he was a talented person, like really intelligent and great at what he did. And he would, bust it out at all hours, but he was not interested in climbing the corporate ladder. He was not interested in being a manager. It was just him. He just wanted to work as many hours as he could during that time period, accumulate as much money as he could, and then take the next 6 months to travel and surf and do whatever he wanted to do. And as long as he kept his skills high, he could re-enter the workforce and do it again.
Which I thought was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't empathize with it. I mean, it's not my life, but I can at least look at it and say, hey,
you can appreciate it.
Yeah, he decided the life that he wanted to live, and he put a plan in place to be able to do it. And then he lived by it, and he made the choices, and he respected his own choices, and he didn't second guess it, and he just did it. But he didn't at the same time want society to legislate an environment that facilitated the life he wanted to live. And I think that's the problem we're getting into. And I think it's broader than just this bill. It goes into a lot of other aspects of life, that we want to legislate everything, or we want society to shun behaviors that we don't think reflect the life we want to live. And it's hard to impose the life you want to live on everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm sure our life, people look at it and like, good God, they have 5 kids.
Yeah. Why do you have 5 kids?
Yeah. Because
so taxing on the environment.
Yeah. We love our kids. They're very well taken care of.
Yeah.
And they're super cute and sweet.
Sometimes.
So I think at the end of the day, it's really just deciding the life that you want to live and putting the things in place to support it.
Yeah. And I think, my view, legislation and government should be there as guardrails, not as prescriptions, right? So they should guard against human trafficking. They should guard against child abuse and child labor laws. Like, things like that are what government is supposed to do, making sure we protect certain inalienable rights. But
legislating your free time on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot more than just that, but there's so many things that I think we want someone else to be the fall guy for the choices we make.
Yeah, and I'm not down with that.
You've been listening to Married to the Startup. These two crazy people have spent over a decade juggling 5 kids and multiple startups and discussing everything from the boardroom to the bedroom. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at Married to the Startup. And be sure to hit the website at www.marriedtothestartup.com. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time.